From Easy Reyes flying off the handle with his insane bursts of anger, to Coco and Easy's twisted sense of humor getting the show's creator fired. Here are Mayans MC's most problematic characters revealed, starting with Easy Reyes's complex yet viciously angry character. Played by the talented JD Pardo, Easy's a multi-dimensional character, but his behavior can get pretty toxic at times. Early in the series, we see him struggling with his anger and impulsivity, leading him to revenge and violence. Fans were quick to criticize his decisions, questioning his moral compass and whether he truly understood the consequences of his actions. Others argued that Easy's character arc is well thought out and comes with a great opportunity for growth and redemption throughout the rest of the series. Fair point. But he's not the only one viewers have a problem with. Marcus Alvarez's questionable decisions and leadership haven't sat too well with fans. Played by Emilio Rivera, Marcus is the Mayans MC president, which means that he holds a lot of influence and power within the club. Whatever he says goes. But then again, with great power comes great responsibility, and fans feel that he hasn't made good use of that responsibility. They've criticized him for prioritizing personal gain over the well-being of the club, leading to internal conflicts and endangerment of the lives of his fellow Mayans. Whether he can redeem himself is still up in the air. Then there's Lincoln Potter, an enigmatic and manipulative federal agent. Played by Ray McKinnon, Lincoln uses some undeniably unconventional methods to get what he wants. Granted, his cunningness and resourcefulness make for exciting television, but again, his actions have raised quite a few eyebrows. Some fans find his morally ambiguous tactics unsettling and question his motives. Whether Potter can find redemption or continue down a morally gray path remains to be seen. It's not just the characters viewers find disturbing. A lot of the scenes, visuals, and storylines have been controversial too. For those of you who don't know, this popular FX series is a spin-off of Sons of Anarchy, and it's one of the few TV shows with Latinos making up the main cast. Sure, that's absolutely great for representation, but Mayans MC has been catching quite a bit of flack for its depiction of Latin Americans, especially since the entire plot revolves around hardened criminals. Fans appreciate how the show celebrates diversity, but some critics feel that it also includes a bunch of stereotypical portrayals of certain groups, and that there's definitely a lack of character development when it comes to individuals from those groups. Also, if you look real close, you'll see how the tone of the entire show switches to a sepia yellow whenever the characters are in Mexico. Typical. To no one's surprise, the show sparked some important discussions about representation in media and storytellers' responsibility to break stereotypes, doing justice to the ethnic groups they represent in the stories. So the question stands: is the show a step forward into inclusion or step backward toward more racial stereotyping? That's debatable, but what I do know is that fans aren't happy. Despite having such a diverse cast, the show's creators have made little effort to showcase the real lives of the Latino community, and you could even argue that the show never claimed to be trying to deal with racism. Either way, a counterpoint could be that a show of this caliber has some degree of responsibility. Kurt Sutter, the brains behind the show, has said that he just likes writing damaged characters, and that it has nothing to do with their ethnic backgrounds. He also believes that the characters aren't the same as the one-dimensional Latino villains everyone's used to. And sure, I'll give him that. The characters are pretty three-dimensional, but with a cast as diverse as the one he's got, the storyline does seem like wasted potential. His statements about what he wanted to do with the show don't take away from the fact that the show is largely criminal-based, involving predominantly Latino individuals. Whether Kurt wanted to perpetuate certain stereotypes or not doesn't really matter, because that's what ended up happening anyway. Other than that, Mayans MC isn't afraid to tackle the more gritty and sensitive topics, often exploring the dark underbelly of the motorcycle club world. Even though it makes for some pretty compelling storytelling, it's ruffled a few feathers along the way. Another controversy that caused a stir revolves around the show's portrayal of violence and its consequences. It's almost like Tarantino's been working behind the scenes on the whole thing. Mayans MC doesn't shy away from showcasing brutally graphic scenes, which some viewers argue may be excessive and unnecessary, since they kind of glorify the whole culture of violence, don't you think? But many others appreciate the show's unflinching realism, as well as its commitment to portraying the harsh realities of the world we live in. They also argue that nobody bats an eye when superhero movies show a load of violence, all because it's done with cool special effects. But as soon as the violence gets real, people get scared. But how are fans reacting to these controversies and problematic characters? Like any passionate fandom, opinions are divided, and online discussions can get heated. Some fans stubbornly defend their characters, arguing that it's their flaws that make them more human and relatable. They believe in potential growth and redemption, and continue to hope to see the characters evolve and learn from their mistakes. But then again, you've got fans who find these characters totally irredeemable, claiming that their problematic behavior overshadows any and all potential growth. They argue that the show should hold these characters accountable for their actions without offering any redemption arcs. The ultimate question of whether they do deserve redemption or not lies in the hands of the creators of the show. It's a delicate balancing act because they need to strive to maintain authenticity while also telling a compelling story and acknowledging and addressing fan concerns. It's not an easy job. I'm sure that whichever way they decide to go with the evolution of these characters and the resolution of their arcs, they're going to inevitably continue to spark conversations within the divided fandom. I mean, the original writer of the show got fired for being too toxic on set, so that alone should give you a good idea of who produced what you see on the screen. I'm talking about Kurt Sutter again. Yes, as he made the show what it is today, but he had to be let go because of his unconventional methods behind the scenes. People who knew the guy personally said they weren't surprised at all by the news of his demeanor. In fact, Sutter even called himself an abrasive person who likes working people to their absolute limit. I guess there was a point where everybody had had enough, and this was bound to happen eventually. But ever since his departure after the first season, viewers noticed a drastic dip in the quality of the show, and I can't say I'm surprised. Yeah, his language may have been harsh, and his methods may not have been very by the book, but he got things done. It's no secret that he was the guy who made the show what it was. After he left, the pace and storyline started to fall off, which wasn't great news for the show, because it had already been getting a lot of backlash for its second season, for the whole representation controversy. A few days after Kurt was fired, he revealed what he thought was the straw that finally broke the camel's back. He traced the root of his firing to a super controversial joke that he purposely wrote into the script of the second season premiere of the show. The joke was at the expense of one of the happiest places on Earth, Disneyland. According to Sutter, I overestimated my value and underestimated the ability of Disney. So what was this joke? Well, it's a scene with Easy and Coco, showing them getting off a bus where the drugs are being processed. As they're leaving, Coco asks Easy to lighten up, since they were going to Disneyland. But it's Easy's reply that set people off. Guess this is where Walt buried all the Jews he had killed. Yikes, that's dark. Apparently, Sutter knew the joke would get him into trouble, so he changed it up a bit when he was asked to, but not by much. He changed the line with the Jews to, yeah, if Mickey and Pluto were pedophiles. Double yikes. I don't think that's much better, Kurt. Guess he had to learn the hard way. So there you have it. From Coco and Easy's twisted sense of humor getting the show's creator fired, to Easy Reyes flying off the handle with his insane bursts of anger. Those were Mayans MC's most problematic characters revealed.